Welcome
to the unnamed show.
to the show whose name is yet to be decided.
Yeah.
So, as people are coming in, I'll just do the honors. I'm Marlon Weems. I'm the publisher of the Journeyman newsletter, and I am here with my pal Arturo Dominguez. Arturo, you can tell your story, man. Go for it.
Yeah, no, Arturo Dominguez, editor at Antagonist Mag, which is, mostly me at this point. But yeah, I do the Decolonized Journalism newsletter, report on Latin America, immigration, things like that, justice, policing, basically anything human rights related.
So, Arturo and I are going to do this regularly,
Yeah.
once a week. And we're laughing because we don't really have a name for the show. I mean, I just put it up there as like a check in with my man Arturo Dominguez. Everybody's got a check in. I don't want to call my show a check in. And
Right.
I'm not, I mean, look, I love you, man. I'm not just checking on you. I'm checking on. So um as we go along with whatever this is we're doing, uh I think we're going to make this official, but if you have suggestions and try to keep it relatively clean. I mean, well, you know what? Put whatever you want to in there because anybody that follows me has got to have a pretty high tolerance for profanity. So,
Same
yeah,
here.
just say what's on your mind. If you think we should maybe, consider other career opportunities, whatever. No show, no show. Don't do a show.
Yeah, right.
But no, we just Arturo and I have known each other a long time, and it's funny, the magic of this kind of technology. We've never actually met in person, but we've known each other between Substack and Medium, and writers and editors of color. I mean, we go back a minute, and so as it relates professionally, you're like in my little circle of the few folks that I really think about. If I kind of got an idea, let me run it past somebody that's not going to laugh at me.
I laugh at you, but still, I'm gonna listen.
Well, yeah, he might laugh at me anyway, but still, it's not going to be all over the neighborhood. So, so okay, let's all seriousness. What the hell's going on at the Department of Defense, please?
I honestly can't tell you.
I
I
mean,
don't know.
are we just,
Who's
I mean, are we just murdering folks now or what?
yeah. I don't know who's in control. They have, I guess, standing orders. The way Hegseth is trying to play it off, they're passing the buck over to. I don't
Well,
even know.
before you go too far, let's just set the scene for any
It's
person
terrible.
who doesn't understand what we're talking about. So, for the last few months, the United States has been blowing up boats, eh, and saying it's a threat. And these are people that are like going in the opposite direction of the United States. And of course, it's all around Venezuela, which we've been trying to figure out how to have a war with Venezuela for a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember the first Trump presidency when when Maduro got elected, and there was a different guy saying, there was some controversy, and the United States was acting like they were going to like support a coup right then, and then they had to back off. So, it just sounds like we want their oil to me. I mean, if there's something else going on, please share it. But
No, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like Cuba, right? You back so many coups militarily and financially and all that stuff, and you can't get the people on board. I think after 25 years in Venezuela, you should have gotten the message by now. Just stop meddling in their internal affairs. You know what I mean? So What I mean, what they're doing now, like we were just saying, passing the buck as far as who's responsible for blowing up these boats. They claim they're drug smugglers, but there's no evidence that they're drug smugglers.
Man, look,
The pictures they show are
I've seen clear and present danger.
yeah.
I know how we're supposed to do this. We're supposed to stop them, and then you interdict, you send the coast. This is the Coast Guard that does this normally.
Normally, yeah.
We've got like what? Destroyers and jets and all kind of I mean, we're literally lined up on these guys like we should be lined up on some of these other countries, but we're not.
Yeah. Somebody said that we have 20% of our Navy in the Caribbean. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but we do have a
It's
lot.
not a little bit.
No,
And
it's
I
not.
don't know, man. Well, see, I'm on the East Coast. There's a destroyer sitting out here in the ocean right now. We don't see those very often. All day. I'm in North Carolina. All day, like um Camp Lejeune is not far from me, 30 miles maybe. So there's an area. Well, I mean, yeah, these guys are dropping like bombs and doing war game all day today, all day. Just bomb. You can hear the sounds of the ordnance going off. Jets, um, um, ospreys, all kind of, like,
Wow.
oh, I mean, and it's not unusual, but just given what's going on, and then that too, you just kind of wonder, is there, you know, this is normally a quiet time of year.
Yeah.
Tends to be, unless there's something getting ready to pop off. So who knows?
Yeah, Maduro was saying that he had a call with Trump again like a couple days ago. According to him, it went well. You know, it
Well,
was respectful, is what he said. He was giggling about it in some press thing he did, and you could take that with a grain of salt because world
and
leaders.
look, it's not that Maduro's such a great guy, right? I mean,
Right, right,
but he's their guy.
right,
And
right.
when people don't want, it'd be different if the Venezuelan people were crying out for help and saying, "Please, U.S., come do something." But that's not what's going on.
Yeah, like I don't know. You look at the migration out of Venezuela, and there's a reason most Venezuelans stayed in neighboring countries, right? Because they want to go back. There's an economic downturn. Things were bad. The
Yeah.
economy went south bad, and inflation was super high, and now, inflation's a little more under control now. And for the last 2 or 3 years, they've made forward progress. It's not much, but it's some economically, and every step they take forward, the U.S. is there to stamp it down. Um, I this whole policy of making millions of people suffer and somehow believing that they're going to be on your side is just ridiculous to me.
You would think that we learned that shit in Iraq, man, but
Right, or Cuba. I mean, it's been
or
65 years.
Cuba. I mean, I'm sure there are half a dozen other countries that
Yeah.
we could name. Um,
Well, there's something I read recently. A new study said like a third of the world's countries are sanctioned by the U.S. right now, and 60% of those are poor countries. And I was like, well, yeah, go figure. We were sanctioning a third of the countries on the planet.
well, and what's so funny is when we get sanctioned, we say, "Oh, well, that doesn't mean anything," you know.
Right, right.
So
It's
there's that.
crazy. It's nuts to me that we just exert our will over people like that, and the idea is to make them suffer to foment some kind of an uprising in your favor. And yeah, there might be an uprising, but it's probably not going to be in your favor after you've just starved so many people. So, there's a huge lack of distrust in Venezuela of the U.S. And the U.S. has done nothing but unite that country around Maduro more than probably ever. Because every election he's ever won was slim or rigged, depending how you look at it. Um, Even the legit ones. I mean, for his first election, he barely won it. And now, if you look at international pollsters, they'll tell you his approval percentage, like he has 20% approval, more or less.
Maduro or Trump?
Maduro,
Okay.
and So I saw a thing recently where his approval rating surrounding how he's handling the US is something like 73%. I take that with as much of a grain of salt as I take the 20%. So in my mind, I put it somewhere in the middle, probably under
But
50
even
myself.
so, that's not good.
Right. I mean, he has more support now than he has in like 6 years. So whether it's 40%, 70%, it's more
Well,
than it
people are
was
going to rally around their
their
countrymen,
country.
you know,
Right. Right. And their troops and, because they're all
and also, not for it's not like we're explaining why we're doing this. We haven't really seen anything in the way of evidence of anything. Not evidence that these were drug cartel people, not evidence of because what about the people that they apprehended and then a couple of days later they sent them back to whatever country, like to Venezuela? Normally, if they were drug dealers, we'd indict them and charge them.
Yeah, and that tells you a lot right there. The few people that they've taken alive, they repatriated back home, and only one of them was criminally charged, and it wasn't even for drug trafficking. Every other one, I think like 3 out of the 4 got sent home because there was nothing to charge them with. The US didn't provide any evidence or anything. So, these guys are just back home, probably never want to go fishing again, because of what
Yeah,
it's just crazy to me. And then you see the reports of the Coast Guard interdicting like record amounts of cocaine, and it's like that happens every year. Every year is a new record. But it just shows you that they can easily stop a boat, board it, find the drugs, take everybody to jail.
yeah,
That's how it always works. That, blowing up boats that are going from, South America to a Caribbean island like Trinidad or something close, because those boats are not going to make it all the way to the US. There's just no way. It's like 1,800 miles from Venezuela to the US coast. And those little boats with 4 motors, they're just not going
right.
to make it. So they're traveling between South America and Caribbean islands, and we're over there blowing them up. And sadly, there are some countries that support it in Latin America, they don't necessarily support the whole blowing people out of the water. I mean, Malay probably does, and Argentina,
Hmm.
Peru probably does too. But for the most part, a lot of countries like Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, they welcome the military force from the Gulf, and they're even facilitating it. Even the Dominican Republic, Puerto Ricans are not thrilled about this. Dominicans are not thrilled about this. Trinidad, like the people in these countries aren't thrilled about this. It's their leaders that are supporting it.
Mm.
And, in Trinidad, nobody wants to see US forces on their beaches. And that's only like at the closest point, Trinidad is only like 7 miles from Venezuela. So,
Wow.
in Trinidad, they're thinking this war could easily come.
They could be easily saying we're going to stage right here.
That's what they're
you know.
doing. The 23rd Reactionary Force from the U.S. Marines is in Trinidad right now, like
Oh wow.
3,000, 4,000 soldiers. Yeah. They've been there for a couple of weeks. And then we have some troops and special forces training at the border of Venezuela with Guyana, right there with the Guyanese military. And then you have all the people on, 10,000 on the ships and whatever you have in Puerto Rico. Like
Jeez, I didn't even know
yeah,
that.
and yeah, no, it's a huge buildup, and it's really scary. Because Venezuela for one is not a punk. Most of that country is jungle and mountains. So and most of the heavily armed people in Venezuela are in the mountains. So trying to fight that off, and I just don't see any simple solution. It's going to destabilize a region. Threats against Colombia, Venezuela's neighbor, is going to be destabilized already. And then if the U.S. gets involved in Colombia, it's going to destabilize the whole continent.
Mm.
So it just doesn't make any sense to me. And yesterday I was wondering if all this buildup was meant to just scare Maduro to run, or to be like, I'm going to step down.
Yeah, I guess maybe they thought he was gonna, and he
Yeah.
called their bluff.
Yeah, they figure. I don't know if they figured, like, there was some rumors that came out of the White House that he was looking to go to Turkey, or they offered to send him to Russia, or some people were saying he's going to go to Cuba, and all of that's bull. Like CNN. had a headline the other day about Maduro resurfaces in Caracas, the capital. I'm like, what do you mean resurfaces?
It's the capital. That's where he
He
should
just
be.
posted, but he posted videos of himself and one of his top generals driving around in Venezuela with no protection. Maduro was driving through Caracas, and he doesn't have a problem doing that. And he posts videos about that all the time, just to like troll people. Like, y'all tell me that nobody supports me, and he's like, here I am walking around with my wife past restaurants and stuff, and people are greeting him and shaking his hand and all this stuff. And like, I mean, when it comes to trolling, he's good at that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, he likes to really, so like, however that conversation went with Trump a couple days ago, say it went bad. Doesn't matter. He's going to go on TV and be like, "It was a great conversation. It was respectful. I said this, he said that," and you know what I mean. And he's going to play like, nah, like because he's really not worried. People don't seem to understand that. He's not afraid of his people, and that shows in how he acts.
So it's going to be real interesting to see how I saw that, I guess this guy that they've sort of, thrown the blame on about this, the whole thing with this.
He's a
I,
hero,
I'm just really trying to imagine, you're, first of all, you're dropping bombs on this little boat and it's two people in the ocean. And the excuse that's being rolled out now is that they were a threat.
Yeah.
Because apparently they were trying to call for help. And so that was a threat to the United States that help might have showed up and saved them, I guess.
Was he calling the Chinese Navy or something? Because I mean, what?
I mean, probably calling whoever, honey,
Yeah.
I'm honey, get the boat out because I'm out here in the ocean. I don't know. I mean, it's just such a it's like they think we're stupid.
Yeah. I mean, I think the White House generally thinks everybody's just dumb. They think that
Well, I
it's
mean, and or everything with these guys seems to be a whole lot of transference, where they say you're doing something because it's what they would do. And I just wonder, this is what they think everybody else does. The
you
stuff
think
that we
so?
see, this is like their version of how you run a country. And it's it's not good. I mean, but because think about it, all you can just pick a department. I can't think of one that's getting up like thinking about how to do some shit for us. I can't think of a policy or a thing or a Congress hadn't what have they done? Nothing really, right?
I'm sitting here scanning my brain trying
I'm
to think of
telling you,
something.
dude, they
They
haven't done
haven't done
anything.
anything.
You can just take it from me. They haven't done anything, and they're not trying to do anything. So and look, I'm not saying these things aren't important, but they got us on Epstein and should they have shot these people or those? And in the meantime, dude, they're just loading the sack up. They're just loading the sack up in the back, man. I'm telling you, these guys are stealing this country blind.
Didn't they say something recently like the Trump family's made 800 million off crypto?
I wish it was only, dude, I wish it was 800 million. It's more like 5 billion. These guys, these guys have cleaned up in every, if you were just writing like a story about, you know, like a comic book character, some arch criminal, the kingpin.
Yeah.
This is the craziest thing. I mean, they are manipulating the stock market because
Yeah.
I've been in this, and the way that they disseminate information is always it's always in such a way that a person could be out in front of the news. They
Yeah.
like when they announced tariffs, they could have just done it. But what did he had like a big announcement that allowed anybody who knew what anybody with money to be out in front of it. And you can't tell me that Howard Lutnick coming right out of Wall Street wouldn't have known the market
Right.
was going to collapse behind that shit, right? So everything they do is from the angle of criminality. I've not seen, I can't think of anything they did that was just like, maybe pledge of allegiance, something like that. But look what just happened with Comey. He fucked that up on his own. They could have had, they could have put a person, an unqualified person, in place that wasn't this girl, this woman.
Mhm.
They have blown up so many of their own cases with
Yeah.
their just rank incompetence that it's it's just mystifying. I told somebody earlier today, I saw this, it was Ice-T talking about Trump and just how like he behaves like a gangster from the hood. And it's Ice-T, so you know how he carries himself. And
Yeah.
at some point, like at the end, he was like, shit, more of his friends in jail than mine. This is Ice-T, who's what? Straight out of Compton, like East LA.
Yeah.
And he's saying the president got more of his friends in jail than I do.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I was like, where's the lie? I don't I I think he's on to something.
yeah, and Trump has more criminal friends now than he has before because he keeps pardoning them.
It's like what is the calculate? And see, maybe I'm scary, man. I'll tell you, I don't want to go to jail. I wouldn't make it
No.
because I'd they'd have to put me in the mental ward because I'd have a nervous breakdown. I'd be crying. No, please,
Yeah.
no jail. I'm telling you, man, I could not make it in jail. And these people who are just like, no big deal if I had to go to jail for this fucking guy. I cannot get
Sure.
my, I can't conceptualize what you must be thinking to think, okay, I might go to jail, but whatever he's, I might lose my law license, but oh well.
They're relying on pardons. I guarantee you they are.
But you can't pardon your way back into a law license. Man,
That's true.
listen,
That's true.
I am telling you, I was in New York, in the aftermath of 9/11. The amount of personal capital that Rudy Giuliani has pissed away,
Yeah.
it's almost incalculable. Because this guy, even people who didn't like him, said, I mean, the way he stepped up during 9/11, they were calling him America's mayor at one time.
Yeah.
Now look at this guy. He's a husk, no law license, all kind of bad, just stuff that we never would have known if not for Trump. I'm telling you, man, this dude is like, I don't even want to meet the guy.
Right.
Something bad's liable to happen.
Yeah, see, their incompetence is part of what makes them so dangerous, but it's also really fucking hilarious. Like
I know.
these guys, they shoot themselves in the foot in court all the time, like trying to fight.
Oh, they do all this sneaky stuff and they really think they got like a plan. And judges are looking at them like, you thought this shit would work?
Yeah, right. That's
Are
exactly
you,
how.
wait, what is this Tom and Jerry shit you're trying to pull on me? I mean, it's like, so yeah, it's just something. And there's a bigger, because I'm sure you came up this way. I know I did, and I fell short. But my parents were like, "You've got to do better. You've got to. You can't just be a regular kid going to class. You got to be like the best at this and the best at that." And I wasn't, but I tried. I mean, and I had it in my mind that nothing was going to be free. But these guys, I mean, Alina Habba, what are we talking about here? Or, you know what? And she actually looks talented next to Lindsay Halligan. This is a person, and I just you just wonder what the conversation was. How much money are they throwing at this person? Because she's probably gonna lose her whatever license she's got. Probably.
Yeah.
She's an insurance lawyer, never tried a case.
She's an insurance lawyer?
That was her specialty, insurance law, and she must have handled, like, I don't know, progressive policy for Mar-a-Lago or something, I don't know what.
Something, right, yeah.
And yeah, and she was Trump's attorney, and he made her a US attorney, and in a week, this woman goes and indicts somebody. She indicts James Comey.
She didn't even look into it. She
E
was like,
Just tell me the script
yeah,
of somebody going to Hollywood with that on a piece of paper, and they would have just laughed them right out of the room and said, and fired whoever let them in. I mean,
unless it's a
this
company.
woman went to what, federal court? Ain't never tried a case. What does that tell you about the confidence of fucking privilege, dude? She, I would have, dude, if he would have given me that job, I would have like I'm not good enough to do this. But this woman thought she was good enough to go in front of a federal judge, ain't never tried a case.
Just
And
crazy.
she went in there and indicted James Comey. That is something, hey man, the confidence that it takes in yourself.
Yeah, I
Think
mean,
about that shit. I mean, we keep saying, "Oh, well, Trump's keep appointing these people." These unqualified people see themselves in such a way that they are accepting these jobs.
yeah,
Pete Pete Hegseth ain't got no business in the same town with the Pentagon. He's got, and they are accepting these roles. They believe that they are qualified.
yeah. The chair at the Joint Chiefs right now, that Dan Kane or whatever, they had to give him special waivers to do the job,
I
because
know.
he's not qualified. He had come out of retirement, like, and that's part of the reason why, like, everything's so chaotic. You have a bunch of people there that don't understand anything about anything. They think they can just do whatever because this is America. We want to blow up boats. We're gonna blow up boats. You know what I mean? Like, it's that arrogance. And yeah, they
I
walk
mean,
around
you just
with
really
all
got
this
to
privilege.
stop and think about it, though. The level of the, I don't. Somebody can type it in. I don't know the word. The level of personal, like, certainty. If
Yep.
somebody gave me a job, like, I don't know, when I was working in New York on Wall Street, I knew how to run a trading desk. But if somebody had said, "Hey, Marlon, we want to make you the head trader of Goldman Sachs,"
Oh shit.
dude, I would be like,
Pass.
somebody trying to set me up for some shit. Goldman Sachs would be getting ready to go under. I would
Apologize.
know, dude. I would be like, what?
Yeah.
What's happening here? What? Okay, Goldman Sachs is getting ready to like get indicted or something's gone wrong because they're coming to me. And these people know they don't have the qualifications. Homeland Security. What in the world? What is it?
Yeah.
I mean, none of these people. You can't really. I mean, the first Trump term, you could pick out people in the beginning. They were trying to like, shield him from doing something stupid. But now, these people, none of them are qualified.
No.
I mean, Kevin Hassett is an economist. I don't. I think he's so hungry for that Fed job, But at this point, they done screwed the economy up so bad. We need to cut rates. We didn't
Yeah.
6 months ago, but we need to now. Okay, so whatever.
You see the way these guys just kiss Trump ass. I was listening to Marco Rubio
Dude,
the other day, and I'm just like, dude, what are you
have
like?
some pride.
You
I
live with
mean,
yourself. I live with yourself.
honestly, though, man, it's like, have some pride, just on a personal level. Don't you have children? Do you really want them to see you like this? It's,
Yeah.
And I
I
mean,
promise you, to the way Trump talked about him publicly, I promise you, Trump is the kind of person who's talking shit about him behind his back at the White
or
House.
to
You
his
know what I mean?
face. I don't
Yeah,
even think,
he
I
treats
mean,
Rubio like a pet. It's
Marco
crazy.
Rubio, man, that guy,
I'm just
you just, I just figure he sold his soul. I mean, this dude looks empty. He doesn't look, he just doesn't look right, Marco Rubio. Like, I mean, yeah, I don't know what to say
so
about it, man.
so like
Don't you, don't you wonder what their
my dad.
families are thinking? Like, if my
Yeah, well,
kid,
I was about to get to that. My dad, my dad is friends with some of the older folks in his family, like, and every
in
time
Marco
he talks about,
Rubio's family?
yeah, yeah, and
Oh,
my dad's always like, dude, they are all just like him. They are all like him. They just like,
hmm.
there's nothing there. There's like you can look right through them.
You know, there,
Like,
yeah, there's some people that are, I mean, you know, they're willing to go along, and I mean, we see it through history. So it's not, it's just, I don't know. I guess there's something, you know, I kind of know a little bit of like, you know, World War II history and the whole thing with Hitler and Mussolini. Not,
right,
but to me, the part with this is like, these are not criminal masterminds. These are like people that, you know, okay, look, Pulte, the guy running what, the housing finance, whatever.
yeah,
If you took, if you made his name Jones, no way is he getting in that job. But he
yeah,
happens to be related to the Pulte folks, you know, the big construction, whatever. The Department of Education, hell, I've never seen any, I've never seen a person out in public that dumb. You
yeah.
know, where they, where they got out in front of people and just said
I
really dumb stuff.
I couldn't believe that there was somebody actually worse than Betsy DeVos. Like,
She's
this
making
lady,
Betsy DeVos's entire legacy change.
yeah,
She's
DeVos.
changed Betsy.
She
Betsy's like, see, I wasn't as bad as you thought I was.
didn't Linda McMahon call a AI A1
Yes, yes, yes.
steak sauce. What the hell?
Man, again,
There's these people.
you know,
I don't know.
it's kind of funny. When I worked on Wall Street, one, and not so much. And I spent the first half of my career in Arkansas, worked around a lot of very, very rich people. The difference down there is they didn't really go out of their way for you to know. Like the guys I worked for, two brothers, one went to Annapolis, the other one didn't finish the sixth grade. Both of them billionaires. But they didn't make their money from stock options and, you know, these different mechanisms like we got now. They bought companies, built them up, companies got, you know, just the normal way you think of capitalism was kind of their thing. You know, they had a lot of luck. I couldn't have done what they did when they did it. Just simply, you couldn't have neither one.
Right,
These were opportunities that were only available to white men.
right.
But their whole response to being like stupid wealthy was so different than these guys now that want to, you know, build a rocket ship or just do some crazy. These guys didn't really want you to even know. They bought their their suits at Tommy's, the guy that didn't sell nothing but polyester shit. They drove, like one of them drove a country squire, you know, station wagon with the wood. Dude's worth $3 billion. You know, and it was like, that's my business.
Yeah.
They didn't care for you to know how wealthy they were. And I wouldn't have until I started working there. And it's like, oh, what's going on? What is this? This is Little Rock. Why is this happening here? But you know, that's what happens when you take Walmart public or, you know,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
there's quite a few billionaires here in Texas that people don't know their names, and it's for
Yeah.
that reason too. They want to stay out of the limelight, and they also fund a lot of pretty shady stuff. Like, that little neo-Nazi Nick Fuentes has some direct and indirect ties to these two
Yep.
billionaires who basically own the Republican Party here in Texas. And like, they fund, like, some of their money went to his America First PAC, and like, this is how hate groups and neo-Nazis get funded.
That dark money.
Little donor advised funds, dark money, right? And they go
Now,
through.
I will say this about the guys I'm referencing. And we always thought it was funny because one of the brothers was a Democrat and one was a Republican. And so
That is funny.
they had it covered either way. They would, donate on both sides of the aisle. I mean, it was, look, it was two guys that got rich that own an investment firm. So I'm not trying to like say they didn't like money. It was just a different way they went about it. And it was a whole, not trying to show like a bunch of yachts and it wasn't that kind of rich. I mean, they were billionaires at a time when there weren't that many billionaires either.
Right. Yeah, they probably had, big house, went on vacation frequently, drove a basic car, just
Oh,
not
they
show for it
they
to the public.
they did well. It was just so low key that
Yeah.
I didn't realize how rich they were when I got the job working for them
Huh.
until about a month into it. Just, they give you all the marketing stuff, you
Hmm.
know, and I'm reading this stuff and I'm looking and I'm like, wait a minute, these guys are really, really rich. I mean, these guys had,
Ways.
okay, so the company owned 1 trillion cubic feet of natural gas in
Holy
the,
cow.
in the, like around, Indonesia. So that was when, yeah, I I knew how to read a financial statement and I'm reading
Yeah.
it and I'm like, I'm sorry, what? I had
Yeah.
never seen anything with the word trillion actually in it, like meaning
Huh.
something. Yeah, 1 trillion cubic feet. And that
That's
was in the 80s. So you figure a trillion of anything probably got, I don't know. I mean, you probably got some money, right? They owned a bunch of oil leases. And this is shit going back probably to the 40s and 50s that, they had access to buy this land or whatever. And that's what people don't understand when we talk about generational wealth.
hmm
You know, there's a story about these guys, and I mean, essentially, two brothers, but their dad was a state legislator. So even though they were dirt poor, the dad, during the Depression, for example, he knew the companies he knew that the state of Arkansas would be able to pay off its debt. So if you could pull a little money together and go buy a bunch of Arkansas bonds, you're probably going to do really good. Somebody asked if it was Amico. No, it's not. It's a company. I used to work for a company named Stevens Incorporated with a PH. You can look them up. I mean, as a matter of fact, the son of the guys I'm talking about, I worked with him. When I was there, he ended up taking over being the president. He's the ambassador to the UK now. So these dudes, yeah, from Little Rock, dudes, they're not fucking around, man. I'm not kidding. Now it's like totally off. They're when I worked there, they had one office, and the company was worth $1 billion. They had one location in Little Rock, and nobody really knew much about them. They took Walmart public. They are the guys that like the old Superdome in New Orleans. They financed that. I mean, Tyson Foods, all these Arkansas companies, Walmart, and they just sitting in that little office building like ain't shit happening.
Yeah,
and,
probably
and
laughing on
that's
the
that's
way.
where I kind of like, cut my teeth, as they would say, working there. I worked there for 10 years and then, did the rest.
Wow.
But those to me, when I see these guys like all the show and all the look at me shit, it's just like I don't have a problem with people being rich, but damn, dude, do you
Yeah.
have to take everybody down in order to get rich? You know?
Right. Right. Yeah, like
Yeah, MLR. These dudes, they were really. He says they said the original venture capitalists. Yeah, but they were more like also like merchant bankers because they would. So the company, if you ever had an Alltel telephone, do you remember Alltel? Alltel was based in Little Rock. I actually, I actually um, did help raise a lot of financing for Alltel back in the day. But yeah, Alltel's campus was in Little Rock. But I actually told a story about this some time ago. I think it's on a video or a podcast. But um, the way Alltel even got started was like these two guys that were in like sort of like the construction area when they were building all the infrastructure for telephones. And they left and kind of started their own company, doing repair work on phone lines. And they met one of these brothers, and it's how rich these dudes were. And this is in, I'm gonna say the late 40s or early 50s. So there was a phone company that one of these brothers bought. And the reason he bought it was so he could talk to his mom from Little Rock because they were like dirt poor in the country, dirt floor kind of stuff, no phones. So he had a direct line to his mom, on the farm. He bought the company. So he had, but it was like a little country phone company. I don't know what it was worth. Anyway, these guys basically took over maintenance of that, and that's how they got involved with Stevens. And then fast forward like 20 years, and that those two guys, that company becomes Alltel, and then goes on. And I think Verizon pretty much owns all
I think that's
those
right.
assets. I think, but yeah, it's crazy, man. Those are kind of billionaires that I can respect. But these cats now that, it's all on paper, they ain't really building shit.
I'd be pretty low key with that stuff. Like if I had that kind of money, I don't.
You better not let me find out.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, hey, Arturo, man, hey, let me just show you this. Let me show you something I wrote down yesterday.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. No, I don't know, man. I think that's probably how it would be. I'd be investing like in
I'm
friends,
telling you,
families, stuff like
I
that.
would tell anybody, man. I wouldn't buy, like in Goodfellas. You ever seen Goodfellas where they do this big heist and they tell them, don't buy nothing new. That's me. I would be wearing the same clothes. I wouldn't have nothing new.
Right. Same here. Yeah, nothing. Nothing. Yeah, it's funny. I did phone work for a while, and that's how I ended up and doing FEMA work after Katrina and stuff. And I remember having to learn the Altel stuff and the systems and their phones and
Yeah,
stuff. And yeah, it was pretty interesting. Yeah, phone work is kind of fun, except for when you have to climb them telephone poles. That's usually the worst part.
I
But
wouldn't know.
yeah, no, I think yeah, there's probably quite a few billionaires that people haven't even heard of in this country
Yeah.
where,
I mean,
and
for the longest time, quite a few of them were in Arkansas because you got the Walton family is in. I mean, if you go up to Northwest Arkansas, it is so removed from the rest of the state just because there's so much wealth just in that
right,
little pocket of Arkansas. In fact, Alice Walton, one of the sisters or one of the children of Sam Walton, um, she built a world class museum. I mean, it's like recognized as one of the best museums, definitely in America, and it's in Northwest Arkansas. Crystal Bridges, and yeah. So I mean, there's a lot going on there, but it's like as close as you're gonna get to anything like not MAGA,
right.
probably in the state. I'm sure there in Little Rock, there's certainly some people who, um, but Democrats can't get nothing done in Arkansas.
No.
I mean,
Yeah,
they're not really like Trump said, they're not sending us their best. They don't have no kind of talent, man. I mean, I see people running for stuff, and I'm like, really? Him?
Right.
They just don't have I don't know how it happened because when
Yeah.
I was living in Arkansas, it was pretty, believe it or not, solidly Democrat. Now, it was a confluence of events. So Clinton wins the presidency. The guy who was the lieutenant governor becomes the governor. Jim Guy Tucker and and so they have to have a race for lieutenant governor. This country guy nobody really heard of ends up winning, Mike Huckabee, preacher. He's running as he had been in like, I actually wrote something about this a while back. He had been in some of these like, you know, white conservative, whatever you want to call it, but really just racist groups. But then he ran for something and lost, and then he took the opportunity and ran for lieutenant governor, and they basically repurposed him almost as a progressive, and he won. And that was about the time I started my business, and I went to visit this guy because I knew he needed a friend because he was the only Republican in the entire state house. So they had him back, because they give out all these desks. They had Huckabee like in a closet because I went to visit him, and his office was so little that he had to move. I had to move a chair to close the door. And so we're sitting there, and he's not the guy you see now. No, he was a very overweight, self-conscious. And see, this is what happens. We let the animal out of the. This guy chewed his fingernails. I met with him a bunch of times, and he was in his little bitty office, and he told me, he said, "Marlon, I know now what it feels like to be a minority."
What
And
the?
I'm like, "You think this is the worst shit can happen to you?" He really was like, "I know now what it feels like. I'm back here in this little office. Nobody tells. I don't know what's going on. I'm a stranger. He's just telling me this shit." And, and yeah, I ended up going to the same church with this guy, which is, I'll say that for another day. It's a story, believe me. But yeah,
Crazy.
that was his idea of being mistreated. You know, Mike
Yeah,
Huckabee.
that guy's he's something else, man.
Well, you know what happens, man. You take a person with not a lot of self-esteem and dump several $1 million on them, and then you see what they're really like.
Mm.
And now,
Yeah.
I mean, because this guy, it's dude, Sarah Huckabee Sanders used to sit behind me in church. Little old 14, 15-year-old. Yeah. The two brothers of theirs that were like, something was wrong with them, killing animals all the time, all the earmarks of like Jeffrey Dahmer kind of shit. Everybody's like, "Why your brother keep killing? Why your brother keep killing all these dogs, girl?" No, really, man. But I mean,
Crazy.
Mike Huckabee, it's the like the level of where he came from the first time I met him to the Mike Huckabee now. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
I would like to think no amount of money could make me act like that.
I'd like to think that too, man.
I really would like to believe that I've been around money, I've been around people with money. If I just suddenly had like $1 million. No, you know what? If I suddenly had a couple of $100, no, but no, I'm just saying, though, I don't think I would just start. This man's a preacher. I
Yeah.
have listened to him give a sermon, and I'm like, what part of what part of that equals this dude over here that's so like nasty and mean, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. You,
I don't know. Who knows?
you know,
Maybe I would turn into a mean person.
he's part of the whole dog whistle Republican Party
I
that
know,
was before Trump,
right?
and
With always, trying to dunk on people. And it's like, dude, like I said, I remember when you used to chew your nails down. You really being a bully now? I mean, it's difficult, man, when you see people change like that. Howard Lutnick is another one, man. I see we get to talking, and we're
Yeah.
gonna have to we're gonna have to get like an in person thing with some chairs and and just I think I could come down to your neighborhood. I like Texas.
My neighborhood ain't too bad, Houston around here, so
I could get with Houston. So
Yeah.
so look, man, we're closing in on top of the hour, but I so a couple of things for folks who have just walked into this conversation in progress. So Arturo and I are going to start doing this once a week, probably around this time. One of the things we want to be mindful of is a lot of people have, check-ins or whatever they call them, and a lot of our friends are doing the same thing. So we don't want to like step on anybody's toes. So I figure 6 o'clock Eastern, that's 5 o'clock your time. But you guys let us know what you think. And the other thing is, we haven't figured out what to call this shit.
Yeah. We're
We're
just kind
going to
of
call
goofing.
it something, and we're going to talk about important things. I will try not to go off on tangents like I did just now. But,
That happens.
but if we need to fill in some time, I will do it. Because Lord knows, I mean, I really could, like Mike Huckabee, man. Woo, that dude.
Yeah. You
It,
gotta
it's
get it.
it's just something when I think about the guy that I first met. I remember
Yeah.
I remember what he had on.
That's
A,
funny.
a brown polyester suit, and it had like, the stitching because he's from the country. So it had like
Yeah.
the stitching like the Western thing kind of,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
was all
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, now he's this mean dude threatening people all. Yes, he had Natasha K. I'm not lying. Brown
Yeah.
suit. I ain't never owned a brown suit, but he had one.
Funny.
No, it's just brown's not my color like that. but yeah, it just for him to turn out to be such a mean guy and his daughter.
Yeah.
I mean, I like I said, I mean, you probably won't catch me in church now, but I used to go to this church because it was billed as like a youth, they're looking for a younger audience. It was supposed to be non-denominational. And me and my wife would go, we take our, my kids from my first marriage. And I knew the guy from the choir, the guy who ran their choir, and they had, man, they just had all the equipment and all the stuff. But the church was in a warehouse because they were
Oh,
raising money to build a big church, which they did,
gotcha.
a gigantic church. Um, but yeah, so I was around Mike Huckabee all the time. Not a loud guy. He was governor at the time and didn't have shit to say.
Yeah.
This guy hardly ever said anything. Very shy, very, like I said, sort of almost self conscious. And it's like he found, well, what happened was he was lieutenant governor, and the guy who came in behind Clinton ended up going to prison for
Yeah.
fraud. And so Mike
Yeah.
Huckabee suddenly became governor. He wasn't ready for that. And then he became governor, and then, just different things happened. That's around the time you have the contract with America, Newt Gingrich, all this shit's going, and that is what kept Mike Huckabee in office. And lo and behold, now his daughter is governor.
Yeah.
I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't seen it myself, man.
Yeah.
So
Awesome, man.
Arturo, tell folks how they can get a hold of your newsletter.
Here on Substack, it's decolonized journalism. Like I said at the beginning, it's mostly about human rights stuff, race, I talk about Latin America, immigration, justice, all those things. And on social media, it's same handle you see here at Extreme Arturo.
Arturo's being a little bit he's not Arturo's one of to me, one of the better investigative reporters as far as independent media goes, as far as knowing the lay of the land in Latin America. Um, and I'm not just saying that because I know him, and that's why I can say it because I've seen it. So if you're not following him, if you're not subscribing, you know, take care of that. Because I mean, if you want to if you want to know what just a context on what you're going to read in the newspaper, but just a different context, I would say, Arturo should be a source that you think about.
Yeah,
And
try not to leave anything out.
well, you like I said, man, you've taught me um I, prime example, Nobel Peace Prize. Woman wins the peace prize, and I'm like, ha 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 ha. Somebody from Venezuela won. Trump's not gonna like that. Ha ha ha. And I, and
Tell me.
Arturo's like, hey man, hey man, you probably need to delete that because but if you don't know, you don't know, right? And so I'm saying most of us don't know when it comes to Latin America because even regular media has an angle on Latin America that, from my view, it always comes from whatever the case, they're socialists, they're doing this, they're doing that, and you know,
Yeah.
they don't really talk about what the United States has done in Latin America. So anyway, all that to say, it's been real, dude.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm looking forward to doing this every week.
Yeah,
It's
we're
gonna be
gonna.
cool.
So I'm gonna. You're gonna have to subscribe, but I'm gonna put something in the chat. Wait a minute. Donna's asking, are we covering the boat strikes? I would say yes, we are. I guess we talked about that in the beginning a little bit, and I will. This will go out in a recorded version, and I always try to summarize what the areas of discussion were. But anyway, I'm going to open up a chat and I want to, maybe I'll send out a poll once we've narrowed it down, but we got to figure out a name for this show. And it can't be Marlon and Arturo just talking about stuff. It can't be, nothing with initials and, stuff like that.
Yeah,
We'll figure it out.
we'll figure something out. Yeah.
Okay. Till next time,
All right,
folks.
bro.
We'll see you on the other side. Take care.